Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the Refined Racing League Porsche Cup Round 1 here at Oulton Park. My name is Daniel Handover, and I will be taking you through race proceedings this evening. It is sure to be a very, very exciting time indeed. Very much something that I am looking forward to. In regards to this event, we have got a 15-minute qualifying, 15-minute race. A 15-minute qualifying and a 30-minute race. And this is obviously going to be consistent around the Oulton Park circuit, a fantastic circuit and a track which I really, really feel is going to be very, very suited to these cars. As you can see there, the track map, the famous Oulton Park circuit track map. Weather 20 degrees is the air temperature currently, 10% humidity, and it's partly cloudy as well, so that might change, it might not, we'll have to see. A big thank you again to all the sponsors that will be coming in for this event. Oulton Park's a tricky circuit actually. The Porsches do tend to find that when you're going through especially medium to high speed corners, the Porsche does take a little bit of time to settle down. But ultimately, if you're able to get into a position where you can stabilize that car and put that car in a position where it's not too aggressive, not too rotational, you should be all good to go. So, in regards to this 30-minute race, there's an interesting question that you've got to pose here. Now, one of the questions you've really got to take into consideration is how do you progress and how do you approach this? How do you approach this race? A 30 minutes is enough of a race that you will want to be making some. It's short enough that you really want to be making some movements relatively early, but at the same time, you've also got to take into consideration that you've got to look after your tyres. You've got to look after, if it's to be honest, you've got to look after everything. Your tyres mainly, obviously, but also the car itself, naturally, as you would expect. So there is lots and lots of things you've got to take into consideration here. That's one thing I love about these sort of like sprint races, but in a car that really, really can make quite a substantial difference if you're driving the car a little bit too aggressively. Practice at the moment is still underway. Obviously, we've got a few more minutes, and then we will be going over to the qualifying session. Now, it is 15 minutes, and in those 15 minutes, you will probably see that there will be around about, I would probably say somewhere along the region we're probably looking here for 3 or 4 runs mainly. Now, these tyres in this Porsche, they do last for a certain amount of time. About 3 laps is your maximum. Any more than that, and it doesn't really start to become beneficial to simply stay in the car. You may as well back off, and you may as well just come into the bits, grab a new set of tyres, and then go again. So this is also going to be an interesting challenge, in itself, because you've got to really sort of put yourself in a position of, well, how do you go about how do you really go about actually putting forward, and how do you go about getting the best you can out of the car and out of the car itself with the tyres that you have available. It's tricky. It's very, very tricky, and you've got to make sure that you are, you've got to make sure that you're on the ball, because it is a very, very tricky thing to manage. We're just having apologies, we're just having a couple of small little issues with the overlay, but I can assure you they will be up momentarily. And then what we will be able to do is then bring you all of the action here, especially for the final few moments of practice. So then we can move forward. This is, again, I would like to mention, this is a South African league as well. So fantastic to be able to... this is actually the first ever... excuse me. This is the first ever South African league that I have personally broadcasted. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting to see sort of how we get on. We've got Nicky Pearson to say good luck to your man Farid, my best friend and driver tonight. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Very much appreciated. As we go through, currently we've got Chris Shorter in the pits. We go to Yasame, the number 7. Striking looking livery indeed. Fantastic looking livery. The Skull Sim Gear, sort of candy apple red. What a fantastic looking colour combo. It's absolutely tremendous. And not too much longer, and then we will be having practice of another 3 minutes, and then we will be moving forward into the all-important qualifying session. The first qualifying here in this event, I may add. You know, this is something that, again, is very, very new to everyone. It's very, very new to the drivers. They've not actually been... they've not performed. And as I said, this is it's a brand new series. They've not actually performed with one another yet. They've had some practices, but again, this is going to be the very, very opening of what is hopefully going to be a very, very interesting and very, very exciting race from us. And in a few moments' time, we'll be able to get you all of the information. Little bit of a spin there from Yaz, but manages to keep it with minimal damage. He does jump back to the pit, so naturally, as you would expect. As we go through, here we are. Apologies for that small delay, but here is indeed the overlay. So we do have, at the moment, if we just go through now to overall, here we are. So Chris Shorter still currently topping the timings in practice with a 1:34.30. Tim Haynes is in P2 for Ignium Motorsport, currently sitting with a 1:34.64, so about 3.5 tenths. A surprising amount. You can actually see the gaps on the left-hand side. If we go to intervals, again, this is for anyone that's new to this series. The intervals are very, very simple. You have over on the left-hand side, you can see the gaps between drivers. Now, if the text is in white and the time is in white, that simply means that everyone is excuse me. That simply means that the time is above a second. Okay, if we see that the drivers are actually and the times are orange. Now, what orange means is the time is under half a second, and if it's yellow, it means it's between half a second and a second. So it just gives you a good understanding of what you can actually see and what you're looking for within regards to the intervals here. Okay, and these will update as you go. As we see Tim Haynes now coming into the pit lane. 30 seconds left of qualifying. And then we will be coming down into the practice session here. So, that's all you can see just over on the left-hand side there. To about 20 more seconds or so. Daniel Rowe currently sitting in P7. 1:35.86 is the current time set by Daniel Rowe. And if we go up and down the field, Atti Nagel has actually just put a time just a little bit above Daniel Rowe there. We see him back off ever so slightly, just giving a little bit of space. Practice is over now, so we'll be transferring to the race in but a few moments' time. As we can see in a few seconds, we are going to be going to qualifying. You're going to see over on the left-hand side, the top left, it will change. And there it is, qualifying. 15 minutes qualifying here for all of the drivers. And it is now simply who is going to be able to jump out on track the first and who is going to be able to we're going to be able to actually see what times are going to be put on the board. Marius Pretorius has just put who, I mean, is the commentator. My name's Dan, Dan Handover. For if you have heard me before elsewhere, then I've commentated in several different places for several different series. But like I said, my first ever South African league. So I'm very excited to be able to commentate on the South African league here. So, Marius, thank you very much. Welcome. I hope everything is all okay. Got a couple of drivers out already onto the circuit. Simon Zerke is one of them. It is a qualifying of which everyone is going to be out on circuit at the same time. So trying to make sure you make space, you make the gaps, is going to be very, very crucial as well. I'm going to ride on board in a few moments with a couple of drivers just to see if we can get some understanding of what they're going through, especially down into the chicane here. This is a very, very tricky complex when you're going in. The Porsche is a car that, as I mentioned, you have to be conservative with the car. You can't simply push the car massively and really, really aggressively into the corner. If you do, then what's going to happen, very simply, is you're just going to rotate the car. The car isn't going to do what you want it to do. And obviously, when you're going through, that's the last thing you want. So, you have to be very, very cautious with this car. And that's what I love about it. It's what I love about this Porsche, is the Porsche is just absolutely... It's just a fantastic, fantastic car to drive. And it's something that I feel that everyone should be able to drive. And everyone should have an opportunity to drive this car, even if it's just simply in a testing session. If it's just in a test, that's absolutely fine. Because it gives you a great understanding of what is actually going on. And what these drivers are going through, what these drivers are having to do to try and wrestle this car through, especially when you see some time has been put on, and in the Porsche Cup Series, the official iRacing Porsche Cup Series, it's a fantastic, fantastic thing to watch, and it really shows appreciation for what these cars are able to do. Athena's Botha just coming through down. Everyone is now starting on this is their first flying lap now, and will be their first flying lap coming forward. So you'll see the time starting to come on the board. Over on the left-hand side, you will see the time start to populate. So it will take another few moments, and then we'll be able to see those times now come on the board. Very, very exciting stuff indeed. What I would like to do is go on board Jeff Hancox, one of the organisers of this series. Someone I've been working with for a very, very long time. We've got the dashboard in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, so let's just have a quick lap of Oulton Park going through down into the International Hairpin, down into fourth, drop in a gear. Interesting enough, this will be another couple of gears drop at least. You see you take a tight line in, hug the inside curb, and then gradually feed that power in, coming up now to the trickiest portion of this circuit, the chicane. As you come in, again, very, very cautious on the brakes, possibly a tad too fast. You see a bit of a lock up there for Jeff. Manages to keep it all in check, though. As we come down now to another tight, twisty complex coming into the last third of the lap now. Again, nice and heavy on the brakes. Trailing in nicely. You see, again, just modulating that throttle, deciding what the car's going to do. You see the first times on the board, Zerke's just gone with a 136.451. Up into fourth gear now. This will probably be in a fifth for a brief moment, and then be dropping down into third, I would expect. Going through, and there we are. There is the third gear. Keeping the car, and you can, again, see the throttle inputs. You can hear the throttle inputs. Just going forward, modulating that throttle, deciding where to go. Down to a tiny, tiny lock up there for Jeff. That has certainly cost him. We see a car off over there. Whom was that? Couldn't quite see the others. That might have been Jason Gibson. We're going to see, hopefully we'll be able to get a replay of that in a few moments' time. But certainly not what Jeff Hancox now goes in. Second down from Chris Shorter with a 134.33. Let's have a look at what happened to Jason Gibson here. And there we are. So that's actually Jason. This is another incident. So that's Jason Gibson going off. So interesting enough. And then we do have, it may have been possibly Atty Nagel there. I think it was. Yes, it was indeed. The number 78. Going off on the last corner. Certainly not ideal, and certainly not what you would be wanting. Jeff Hancox now decides that he's going to go forward and jump back into pits for another set of tyres and make his way out again. Few lap times have not been set as of yet. Jason Gibson is one of them, although he is on his first flying lap. 5 minutes have already gone in this qualifying session. 10 minutes still remaining. And we've just got a couple of other people in the chat as well saying King Sim Racing. Good luck, Tim Haynes. Where is Tim Haynes? Out on circuit, I believe. He is going through. Has he set a time at the moment? He is currently P2. Look at that. Half a second currently off Chris Shorter. So we've got Tim Haynes from King Sim Racing. We also have NR. That is NYX there, saying that's Driver 61 royalty. Oh, well, thank you very much, Maraz. I appreciate it. Well, yes, nice to see you again. We've got Peaky ZA saying, let's go TTH Racing. Camo Timothy, thank you very much for all the support. It's very, very good to see for the first round. It's exactly what we like, so do make sure you keep up the support. It's absolutely fantastic. It's something I'm very, very grateful for. Really, really good support. It's really what we like to see, especially in a new series. Now, the idea being, obviously, this is the first round, hopefully of many, and this will just simply start to be able to... excuse me. This is something that, again, what we should see, you know, in theory, is for this to get more popular as we go. Jason Gibson, 138.38 was Jason's last lap. This is currently on his second flyer. And then we will hopefully be able to also see a couple more lap times coming on the board, as I said, in a few moments. Jason Gibson, tiny bit of a lock-up. Manages to keep it all in check, though. Very good stuff indeed. It's what we like. See Jason Gibson, he comes through. Does Gibson, the number 55, Team Tryhard Racing AM car. Couple more corners to go, and then we will see what Gibson is able to do on this particular lap. He's a 10th behind Kenrick at the moment, who has just come into the pits. We see a couple of outlaps being handled there as well. Let's go through. Is Jason Gibson? There we are. He's going to put another lap time on the board. What is it going to be? And it is... Currently, he has gone quicker. Up to P13 now. And in fact, let's have a quick look at the actual times of what people have done. In fact, here they are on your screen now, over on the left-hand side. And we can see that Shortno is still leading with that 134.045. Has gone a little bit quicker. So Jason Gibson's last lap was a 137.930. So less than a second off of the top times. It should be close indeed. Jaco Stein. Let's see what he is able to do. Halfway through this particular lap. Can't quite tell if this is an out lap. And in fact, no, it's not. So this should be, although Jaco Stein does indeed come through, and I think that may have been his last lap of that particular run. That's why he'll be going through back into the pits. Yanaman Prius, sorry, apologies. Prius? No, apologies, Pri. Again, I do apologise in advance for any pronunciation calamities. I will make sure that this gets better as the series goes and once I get used to everyone. Nearly 10 minutes has gone of qualifying. There's a team heat together. 8-1-4. Currently sitting in P12. Okay, we're going to see if that time starts to come down. So again, that final quarter of the lap, that double right-hander, so tricky to go in. The last thing you want to do, and it's something that's very, very easily done, actually. And this is one of the things that, you know, obviously when you're going through, it's a very, very tricky thing to be able to, to actually, you know, to really make sure that you put yourself in a position where if you go into the corner, like we mentioned before, if you go into that corner slightly too far, especially that double right-hander at this last corner, the car just does not want to go. It does not want to rotate, doesn't want to turn, and it's a very, very tricky thing to keep in control. And like I said, if you don't necessarily keep the car in check for where you, obviously for where you go into the car, say for example, you know, just a fraction too fast or something similar, it can really, really throw the car off. It's a very, very, like I said, it's a tricky car. It's a tricky car to be able to drive. And again, we're seeing some very, very competitive lap times come on the board now, which is again fantastic to see. Less than 5 minutes to go left of qualifying. And then we'll be able to see who takes top spot for round number 1 of this, excuse me, of this first round with us. Apologies again, we've got a couple of issues with logos as well, so I do apologise. They will be up very, very soon indeed. Just want to make sure that we get all of the logos up. Just eyeing out a few small bumps, but we will make sure that they are sorted as soon as possible. After qualifying and going into the race, we will be having a short break while we get everything sorted up on our side. There'll be a quick advert to play as well, and then we'll be back for the 30-minute race, something I'm very, very excited to be able to see. Tian Jacobs currently out on circuit. 139.66 is the fastest lap for the number 24. Coming through, is this lap going to be quicker? We can just see the last lap time, and there's no change, actually. No change for this lap time at all. So as it stands at the moment, no improvements. But again, still a little bit of time to go. There's an opportunity for another run now, I think. This will be the final run that people will get. And then after that, they will have to concede to the positions that they are in. Hopefully also as well, we will be able to get afterwards as well. This one thing I'm intrigued to, I really, really am looking forward to catching up with as well, is we've got some people that we're going to be able to hopefully have a chat with the top three as well at the end of this, at the end of the race, which I'm very much looking forward to. It's going to be good to again get some perspective. I've commentated on a few. I've commentated on a few different Porsche leagues before, but it'd be interesting to see from this perspective again what sort of people are feeling. What people are actually feeling sort of currently this after the first round, because once you've got through the first round, it gives you a nice opportunity to then sort of at least see in regards to your performance relative to others. Obviously, that's a very key thing. You've got to make sure that you're performing, and you start to gain understanding of what you're able to put through, what you're able to, where your strengths, where your weaknesses are compared to everyone else out on circuits. One of the things I really, really do enjoy when it comes to driving and racing with other people is after a couple of rounds, you start to work out, you start to have an understanding, I suppose, of where you are particularly quicker and where you need to work on a little bit. Also, that gives you a nice understanding of, how can you obviously best improve and how can you to best improve yourself when it comes to that as well. So, some interesting tactics to be played here later on in this season. Here as well again. Apologies everyone for the small issues that we're seeing on the top right of your corner. We're having just a very, very strange issue with our logos, and we will be endeavouring to get them sorted as soon as possible for you. Obviously, Simon Zerke comes into the pits. That will be his qualifying done and dusted. Arno Kraus now comes across, just about to come across the line for another. And we see, does he improve? A 136.662 was his best. No improvements there. And it stands. There is the 15 minutes. That is everyone going through. People will be able to finish their lap. And then we will see and get the final qualifying results for you. In fact, I think we have, yes, that is Ryan Austin's decided that he does not want to participate in that qualifying anymore. And in fact, I think that is a few more people to come across the line. Janaman Pruis is one of them. He's yet to come across the line. Just coming through the chicane again. Jason Gibson, another person that is yet to finish his final run. And once we've got this, we will have a quick advert break. And then we'll be back for this 15-minute, this 30-minute race. Something, like I said again, we are very excited and very much looking forward to. If you haven't already, please make sure that you do like and subscribe to the Tribe Nerds YouTube channel to catch all of the action happening on this stream and obviously on the series going forward. Again, something that we are very much excited and very much looking forward to. More drivers still yet to come into the pit lane to finish their final laps. You see a couple of drivers there, and I believe that is everyone that has finished. It is indeed. So everyone has finished their lap. Daniel Rowe is actually just going to across the line. Does he improve on his final lap? He does not. His last lap there was a 136.02. And that is qualifying done and dusted. We will bring you those results when we come onto the grid. We are going to take a short break and come back in a few moments' time with a action from round 1 here of the Refined Racing League Porsche Cup. Round 1 here at Oulton Park. Please make sure you do not go anywhere. We'll be back in a few moments.
Basic human rights. Water, electricity, healthcare, and education. But what if we don't have access to affordable infrastructure to support these basic rights? We are looking for a change, a better future for all. But without education and access to information, change can never happen. Welcome to IO Verified. We're not looking to just uplift and inspire our staff, but to empower and enrich the lives of communities, allowing small businesses to grow and build a future for themselves and enrich the lives of those around them. Join us today. Help us be the change and inspire the future.
Okay, everyone, we are back. Thank you very much for, again, continuing to stick around. Something we are very much looking forward to watching this first round here. A few moments' time, then we'll bring the grid. Here is the grid. We'll also be able to bring you the grid up here as well. So we did have Chris Shorter, Tim Haynes, Johan Grobler, Paul Gerber, Ryan Ottens, Jaco Stein, Daniel Rowe, Atti Nagel, Simon Zerke, Yannaman Pruis, Du Gerber, Yaz Samai in P12. That was your top 12 there. And as we go forward just a little bit more within the grid, we then have Arno Cruz. We're going to have to quickly go to the race here because we are already underway. So that came up very, very quick indeed. We've got a very, very good start here. All even Steam had a couple of people that was a little bit slower off the line, but at the moment, Paul Gerber has made a fantastic start. So has Jaron Grobler, Tim Haynes, and Chris Shorter as well. Look at Chris Shorter. He's already pulled 0.8 of a second on the rest of the field. As they all come down now, going through onto one of the main straights here. The couple of positions, couple of movements. We had a couple of accidents in the background already. Not too sure what has happened there. We'll be able to get a couple of replays in a few moments' time. Down into the hairpin for the first time. All the single file for the moment. A little bit further down there we have Jason Gibson's currently P13. He's made up 3 positions already. The top 5 have not. Top 5 have stayed in the exact same positions that they started in at the start of the race. Simon Zerke, though, he's, as you can see on the left-hand side, P6. He's up 3 positions as well, started in P9. So very, very good stuff indeed from a fair few of these drivers. Some very, very good times. We now see the full timing and the full names of all the drivers on the left-hand side. As I said, we will be giving the intervals up, and here they are. So here are the full intervals. And all coming through. While we got a bit of break here, let's have a quick look at what happened. So this is Jeff Hancox coming in. Oh, Jeff Hancox, was that a bit of teammate contact? It was indeed. So Jeff Hancox just goes through a little bit too hot. And unfortunately, has contact. Who was that? Was that contact with Du Gerber? I believe it was. It was indeed teammate contact. Certainly not ideal, and the last thing that you want. That is something that is going to be, I'm sure that teams will be talking about that after the race. 30-minute race to go, and already we are at the end of the first lap Tim Haynes is just teetering on the edge of catching up to... we see the gap's 1.5 seconds, so Chris Shorter is really starting to pull away. The last lap, to put into context, was 4/10 a lap quicker than anyone else out on the circuit. The only person in the 39. Actually, apology, it was 1.4 seconds quicker than anyone else out on track. So absolutely rapid. Whoa! Yanaman Paris is in the pits. Why is he in the pits? Let's have a quick look. Interesting to see what happened there. Does he have a moment coming down into the hairpin? I wonder if it's a touch, maybe a tap on the grass. Oh, locks the rears up ever so slightly. And at that point, you simply are a passenger. Certainly something that Yanaman will not be too happy about, I'm sure. Simon Zerke, P6, as I said, mentioned earlier on, currently 3 positions up from Daniel Rowe, who has started in P7 and has not changed. Got a few moments to the robot of Daniel Rowe. In fact, here it is now, catching up quite aggressively, although goes a little bit deep down into the double right-hander. Got a couple of comments as well on the chat. So Timothy Clegg saying, who is the commentator? Daniel Handover is my name. Have commentated on several leagues within Porsches, and have commentated all about, done lots of things for lots of different leagues and lots of different championships. And very excited to be here. So that's my name. Hello. We've got Lord Virus says, good luck and stay safe. Yes, indeed, absolutely. That's the main thing that we want. Little bit of battle. Daniel Rowe can't quite catch up at the moment. Just keep him back as it turns out. We did have a little bit here as well. This was a couple of laps ago. So Daniel Rowe, apologies. That was because Simon Zerke was having a little bit of issues with internet troubles, as we could just about see there. Jeff Hancox and Du Gerber. So the two teammates contact earlier on in this race. Are we now going to see... I'm sure we're going to see them working together. Jeff Hancock, I'm sure, will be a little bit cautious. A little bit further down. Whoa, big contact. What has happened? Jason Gibson on the exit. I wonder if that's maybe a tap on the grass. Possibly. Caused some issues. That could very well be the reason why. Not 100% sure. Not sure what was that. Again, we might be able to get a replay of that in a few moments. Although, beforehand... we've now got a possible through a battle. Du Gerber had a big look at the inside, possibly of Wynand Kersop. And we're going to see a big through a battle. We see Du Gerber go up the inside of Wynand. Is this going to be Wynand holding the outside line? But unfortunately, that's especially through this double right-hander. That's after the circuit. He backs off. Jeff Hancock gets on the grass as he goes through. Whoa, that was about as close as you could possibly get. And then, look at that, Michael Prinslow. That's not Michael Prisoner, probably. So that's Wynand Kersop drops down. You see Jaco Stein absolutely threw it up the inside there. Capitalised on the move. And he is now trying to get past Jeff Hancock. Gets to run, possibly. Are we going to see a move happening here? Going into turn 1. Pulls out of the slipstream. Last of the late breakers. That's a very defensive line by Jeff Hancock. Pushes and tries to squeeze Jaco as much as he can. But can't quite make that move. Can't quite defend that position. So that is Jeff Hancock losing a position. Jaco Stein, next person up ahead is Du Gerber. Bit of battling up at the front as we transition to the other end of the field. Paul Gerber and Johan Grobler. They are going possibly, again, the sort of the calm before the storm. The gap is about 0.4 of a second. So nothing, again, it's a gap that you need to be aware of. It's not necessarily a gap that you want to worry about too much. Okay, so, at the moment, this is something that if I were in Johan Grobler's position, I wouldn't be worrying too much. As we can see there from the gearbox cam, the gap is there, but it is coming down. Once you get above about 0.2 of a second, then you got to start worrying about it here. Again, we see a little bit Paul Gerber just pulling out the slipstream, trying to upset Johan Grobler's rhythm, but that is not happening as of yet. And instead, Grobler just holding his ground. Again, just doing his normal race. Again, you can see taking his normal race in line, and this is helping him at this moment in time. You can see that Paul Gerber is actually trying to put some defensive moves, trying to put the car in some interesting positions. And what that's actually doing, you can see that the gap has opened up. So certainly something that, what has happened to, that is Yaz Samai. So big moment there. Wonder why I saw him lose a few positions, and that would be why. Let's have a quick look and see what happened here as we go to the Tribal Nerves replay. Oh, bit of contact there. That was a bit of a nudge into the wall. I wonder if we got some steering damage there, perhaps. But that was a big nudge, and I believe that was Daniel Rowe that gave that nudge. So something that certainly isn't ideal. I've just noticed as well, I believe that Jeff Hancox has actually retaken the position on Jaco, and that was why, because Jaco had a big moment, manages to keep it in a straight line. Fair play. That's a tricky thing. That's a tricky situation to be in that sort of stage. So, you know, overall, I certainly can't argue with that in the slightest. So fair play, Jeff Hancox. Capitalise on that position gain there. Arno Kraus has had a moment. There he is. Actually, you can just see. Lost a couple of positions. Pulls out. And yes, Yaz Samai go by. I wonder if he's got some damage to that car. Looks to be okay. Tracking in a straight line. Let's go to the roll bar cam. Seems to be tracking straight and true. So again, nothing that you're really going to be too worried about there. Now we're gonna have a look at that battle again in a few minutes. You can see over on the left-hand side, Stein versus Hancock. So that gap may start to come down. In fact, it's come down quite a lot at the moment. You see Jeff Hancock goes for the inside line, holds the defensive, riding now on board with Jaco Stein. Is he going to get the cutback? No, a bit too much oversteer on the exit. That would have cost him. You'll see Jeff Hancock now going back on the defensive. Is this going to be a move? Squeezes him. You see Jaco Stein try to dart to the inside, but there's no way around there. This is perfect, actually, for Du Gerber, who's now just pulling miles ahead, pulling absolute car lengths on the two here. Stein again tries to get up the inside. Jeff Hancock goes a little bit wide. That's certainly going to cost him, but manages to actually get the car back round into the apex. And look at that once again. We see Jaco Stein can't get by. This is going to be a brave move if he can do it. No, he can't. But Jeff Hancock again managing to stay ahead. Very defensive driving from Jeff Hancock, but he's managing to keep the car behind. He's managing to keep the number 12 behind him at the moment. How long will that last for? We will have to see. We've actually got a bit of a battle here. Du Gerber and Stephen Koenig are going to be having a battle soon. This may even become a four-way battle very quickly. Depends how fast Gerber can get past Koenig. We'll have to see. But you can see the gap closing down. It was 0.8 of a second between between Gerber and Hancock, and it's now 0.4 of a second. It's really coming down quite quickly indeed. Actually, apologies, it's now gone back up to 0.8 of a second, so it's ebbing and flowing, and this will be why, because Stein is going to try and get the move back again. Jeff Hancock's taking that defensive line, just putting it in the middle of the circuit. Oulton Park isn't a particularly wide track, bear in mind, so this makes sense. Oh, Stein has had a big moment. Big moment indeed. I wonder if he got a bit on the curb there, which just put him. Let's have a quick look at that instant replay here. I think he got a bit, tiny bit too much on the curb. A tiny bit too much on the curb. Or maybe just a bit too much throttle a bit too early. Certainly something that isn't ideal, as Stein has lost a fair few positions. He hasn't lost any positions, but he's lost a lot of time because of it. And now he's being pressured by Kersop, so we'll have to keep an eye on this battle here. But up the front, it's been a little bit quiet, to be perfectly honest. But, you know, again, that certainly won't stay the same. 10 minutes has gone of this 30-minute race. So we will have to see. Stein gets on the grass again a little bit. We have had a couple of other different overtakes. We're going to have a look at one. One of them was Jason Gibson on Michael Prinsloo, and I believe the reason why is because Prinsloo had a bit of an off, and in fact, let's have a quick look at that replay now. So Prinsloo goes through down to the last corner, a little bit too, you see, just a little bit too early on throttle there. Tiny bit too early on throttle, manages to keep it just with a small little kiss of the barrier, but just about manages to keep the car, you know, straight and true, and pointing straight and true. So that would have cost, you know, a little bit of time there. Whoa, big. That was Johan Grobler getting very close to the back of Paul Gerber there. Maybe a little bit too close for comfort. And in fact, here was the overtake from Paul Gerber. Grobler just goes a little bit too deep, has a bit of a brake lock, and that just allows Gerber to go through up the inside. So there we are. Certainly not going to complain at that overtake there. An overtake handed and gifted. Just now needs to keep the car in check now, keep it stable, keep it pushing, and keep it moving forward in a Again, last thing you want to do is to push the car too aggressively. This is a move up the inside, and that is going to be Thynes Botha going past, actually around the outside even, of... sorry, that was Simon Zerke, apologies, passing Thynes Botha. Going through down into the hairpin. Lap number 8 of predicted 18 laps have gone. And nearly coming to the halfway point of this race. This is where tyres will start to drop off a little bit here. So everyone's got to be a little bit cautious, a little bit careful. Jason Gibson. This is a moment for Jason Gibson, actually. I wonder what happened here. Going into the chicane, is it going to be a bit of a brake lock? Yeah, tiny bit of brake lock. And then that just sent the car off a little bit. And then as soon as you get on the throttle with that bit of grass, the car just goes into a spin. Does not like it in the slightest. Back at the front, the battle for the podium. At this point, Chris Shorty hasn't had much coverage on the TV. Is he going to be that fast? I don't really think so, considering he's currently sitting miles ahead, 5 seconds ahead of Tim Haynes. So P1 and P2 have not changed from their respective qualifying positions, but P3 is where the battle is very much at. A three-way battle for P3, and that's between Paul Gerber, Johan Grobler, and Ryan Ottens. Ryan Ottens a little bit further back. What I would imagine Ryan's doing is trying to conserve his tyres if he's able to. And at this point, if we see Gerber and Grobler going into battle, then that's going to really play into the hands very nicely of Ryan Ottens. We will have to wait and see how this battle develops and see who has looked after their tyres the most. Because if you don't look after your tyres in this Porsche, you come to the end of the race, that's when it really, really starts to hurt you. It really, really does indeed. And we see a possible move here. This is going to, again, have a look at this. Look at the gap between Ryan Ottens. It's coming down 0.4 of a second, 0.3 of a second. And we've got Paul Gerber still manages to keep it ahead of Johan Grobler. That's a very, very close. I think, to be fair, Johan was quite wise to back out there at that point. The last thing you want to do is to, again, have an instant. We're not even halfway through the race yet, just about to, in fact. Again, you don't really want to push the car, again, that a little bit too much. Instead, hang back, wait, conserve your tyres. You might see in the final 10 minutes, the final 6 or 7 minutes, that's when you're going to see some moves and possible sends happening here. Arno Kraus has had a small, actually quite a big incident. What has happened here? Going into the chicane, the exit of the chicane, is it just a little bit too... Oh, is it a carbon copy? It's a carbon copy, but this time over the curb, and the curb upsets the balance of the car. Manages to pull out of the track, pull off the circuit. Again, best of a bad situation there. Minimal time loss that was had. It could have been a lot worse, to be perfectly honest. Lord Virus actually just said it's a hard car to drive, especially on the first lap. Absolutely, and so we saw that as well. We saw that there as well. Very, very tricky car to drive indeed. We've got another couple of comments. Peaky's Edda saying, great commentary so far. Shout out to the Shoutcast. Well, I do sometimes get a little bit too excited, I will admit. And if I do need to ever turn down, please do let me know. We've actually just got... Ryan Ottens made a move on Johan Grobler, so we're going to get a replay of that. Hopefully in the few moments. Halfway has just gone. So that is the halfway mark has indeed ticked over. And I wonder what happened there to Ryan Ottens. Let's, in fact, see if we can have a look. I may have been... Grobler had a moment. Did he have an off, or was there a bit of contact? No, Grobler, same again. Look at that. Carbon copy of what happened before. So Johan Grobler has lost 2 positions with that same mistake there. So hopefully that is the last of the mistakes that Grobler will have there. But it's very, very tricky. And you know, especially when you're putting yourself, in that position a couple of times. You do it once and it obviously can be certainly frustrating. We're actually going to have a look. Oh, we got a bit of a gap, bit of a break in the battling here. We're going to see what happens to Johan Grobler. What if he actually gets a wheel on the grass and that causes the lockup? Into the brakes. No, it is just going a little bit too deep into the braking zone. I mean, about as perfect as you could be to the outside. Any more than that, and that really would have put him in jeopardy, but manages to keep it going. Which is very, very good car control. Rather than push the car into the corner and try and then wrestle the car to try and get the car to turn quicker, instead just accepted the fact he was going to go a bit wide, brought the car round, allowed it to settle where it needed to, and then off he went. Can't complain at that at all. Jaco Stein trying to make his move back up the field. Currently sitting in P14 8 positions lost. Certainly something that he won't be wanting to keep and stay the same for much longer. He's going to go round the outside of Stephen Koenig. Down into turn 3. That's going to be a brave move indeed, but manages to keep it all in check. Done and dusted. Look at that. Stephen Koenig, fair play again for giving the room that was required. But that has put Jaco Stein now up into P13. Next person on his radar is Jeff Hancox. He's 1.2 seconds behind. Actually, it's about 6/10 behind Du Gerber, his teammate. You could just see there as well. So Stein pulled about 2.5 tenths of a second in one corner out of Jeff Hancox. This certainly will be a battle, possibly of, this may be a when and not if. Although we saw that the defending from Jeff Hancox, absolutely stellar defending, put his car, in terms of placement, exactly where it needed to be. So you're never ever going to complain at that in the slightest. This is going to actually very quickly become a 3-way battle as well, because you think you've got Du Gerber, Jeff Hancox, and then Jaco Stein, depending on how quickly or if Stein can actually pull up and get the move on Jeff Hancox at all. Maybe see Stephen Koenig actually come back up. The gap is already 2 seconds, but do not let that fool you. That may certainly come down depending on how long it takes, or if Stein can actually get past Hancox. Here it is. We've seen this before, haven't we? This is a bit of deja vu here. Jeff Hancox again taking a very, very defensive line. That will cost him on the exit, though. You see the run that he's got through, and I don't think Jeff Hancox is going to have anything to say about that. That time just goes a little bit too deep into the corner. Tiny bit of contact. I thought there was going to be more contact than that. Look at that, Jeff Hancox, he's wanting it. He's not giving up this position that easily, is he? And in fact, I don't know if he might even have the run going through. He's got the preferred line in a way, because he's going to sit on the inside. He's going to, and there we see, look at that. There's not that much grip on the outside there. So once again, Jeff Hancock's getting a little bit wide, same as what we've seen from Johan Grobler. That was cost him big time, and that is the move made on Stein. So just put the car just up the inside. Move done and dusted. And there we go. The gap's already 1.1 seconds. Next person on Stein's radar is Du Gerber. The gap is just teetering over or under a second. Again, not necessarily at any point. We're going to have to see. I think Stein may need to find his rhythm again a little bit. And then once he does, I'm sure that time will be coming down. Have another quick look through the people that we haven't really been speaking about too much. Atti Nagel, currently sitting in P7 overall. Haven't made up one position, starting in P8, obviously. In terms of pace, bit of no man's land at the moment. So not quite as fast as we've seen from the previous lap times from Daniel Rowe. But it's faster than Simon Zerke behind in P8. So it's a bit of no man's land currently. Have to see how that portrays and how that develops as we go. Got a couple of other metrics for you here as well. What we're going to be able to do. Here are the sectors. You can see there. So Zerke is actually what we can see in the bottom of your screen. So the times that we see there, if it's green, it means that Zerke has caught up. If it's orange, it means that Zerke has dropped back. In the last couple of that's what? Near enough 3 tenths, or just over 2 tenths has been gained. Another 2 tenths there, actually. For Zerke. So Zerke, with less than 10 minutes to go, is catching up, although the gap, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, is 6.3 seconds. Quite large, and it may be tricky for that lap time to come down. But, again, as I said, never say never. You simply do not know at this stage what is really going to happen. Couple more battles starting, well, not necessarily starting to develop, but the gaps are coming down. Again, a battle that is still comfortably raging on is Du Gerber and Jaco Stein. I wonder if Gerber's going to try and go really aggressively on the defensive and see if that gap from Stein and Jeff Hancox can actually come down. You see teammates working together. Whoa, bit of a lock up there for Gerber, and that has just allowed Stein to just go sailing through. He's just gone, thank you very much. And now off he goes. And certainly something that, excuse me, Gerber didn't want. But ultimately, the move was done and dusted. So that is relatively It was a relatively straightforward move. And now, I mean, the gap to Stein and Samai, which is now the next gap and the next person on Stein's radar, is 10.4 seconds. So quite a considerable amount, I would say. But again, you simply don't know what is going to happen. Daniel Rowe, P6, had a very lonely race again. He's up one position, started in P7, and is now up into P6. We've had a little bit. So this is what you do tend to find as well, is especially in the first race, the first race or the first couple of races, you'll see everyone that they're starting to learn their opponent, starting to learn what's going on and how they're able to, build time, how they're able to gain time from their, on their competitors and seeing where they are faster or slower. Now, this is something that you will see gradually. These gaps will get smaller and smaller because people will simply just get more used to their, more used to everyone. They'll start getting more used to their competitors, and they'll know and understand how to battle them. So straight away we can see that Jeff Hancox, certainly a man that is determined to defend for all of his life. And what has happened here? Gerber's actually just got past Stein now. I wonder what has happened. Actually, do you know what? I can tell you what's happened. Stein has just had a moment. So this was the overtake that happened. And then actually, to be perfectly honest, I don't really know why Stein has dropped off. Gap's now, once again, 0.4 of a second. It's coming down pretty aggressively. I wonder, possibly a slowdown from Stein. That could certainly have been a potential issue. Here we are from the gearbox cam of the number 69 team, Try Hard Racing Pro-Am. He's going to get put on the inside, hung out to dry. And there we are. Stein once again goes through into back up into P12. P11, sorry, actually. Jaco Stein is in P11. Du Gerber has now been dropped down into P12. Up at the front, once again, Chris Shorter just extending his lead for the final 5 minutes of this race. The gap just near enough 10 seconds now on Tim Haynes. And speaking of which, the gap between Tim Haynes and Paul Gerber is also near enough, about 10 seconds. So Tim Haynes is absolutely in a complete stalemate at the moment in terms of his position. 10 seconds is in front of him is the gap, and then 10 seconds behind is also the gap. And then going through, as we can see, between the gap on, again, the left-hand side, between Paul Gerber and Ryan Ottens, is 1.8 seconds. So it's still a relative gap that you obviously need to take into consideration. That gap certainly is there. As long as you don't do anything, like, you've got to keep the car in check now. When you're going through into these last final stages of the race, you've got to think about self-preservation. Excuse me, just getting on for 5 minutes left of this race, remaining, and we'll get the words out eventually. You've got to now take into consideration and think, well, what do I actually want? Do I want to try and catch up any more positions or any more time? You might see Ryan Ottens if he's going to try and push the car a bit harder, but take the points, take the good points that you've got and run with them. There's no point in trying to push and to overdrive that car. Stephen Koenig and Arno Kraus. This is one of the closest battles and closest gaps that we've got now. Just getting about 0.8 of a second, 0.7 of a second. That's a little bit deep in there for Kraus, but manages to keep it in check. Tiny bit further away from the curb than I think he would have liked. But ultimately, either way, he's caught up quite significantly to the back of Stephen Koenig. Is Stephen Koenig going to be able to... He strings the car in. Getting Koenig a little bit further away from the curb than he would have liked. He's actually pulled away a little bit from Arno Kraus. And the number 810 only has 1 or 2 more laps left to go. A little bit wide from Koenig there. That was allowed Kraus to catch up once again. With that gap very much ebbing and flowing. Not 100% sure what's going to happen here. Just coming down, looking at the bottom right. Speed on the entry is about 215 kilometers an hour, so under 130, 135 miles per hour. So pretty fast. Yeah, going into turn 1, which is not a tricky, it's not an easy corner by any stretch of the imagination. You can just see there Krauser taking a slightly tighter line than Koenig. We are now on to the last lap. So the last lap has just been started by Chris Shorter. We'll be riding on board with him in a few moments' time. But this is still very much a battle that is going to be continuing. So there's not only this lap for Arno Kraus, but there will be one more lap after this. So imagine that these drivers, both Koenig and Kraus, have got another lap and a half. So that is the time. Oh, Kraus goes a bit wide. Got to keep it in check. Manages to keep it just about out of trouble, which is exactly what you want. But unfortunately, the gap, look at that, 1.9 seconds. Just tipping over 2 seconds is now the gap. And that has really, really cost Arno Kraus. He has brought it down already 0.3 of a second. But is it going to be enough? That's 1.7 seconds and then passing in the space of, bear in mind what near enough makes a difference, a lap. Gap is now 1.4 seconds again, you can see on the left-hand side. Certainly going to be very, very close indeed. And it's going to get even closer. The gap's still 1.3, but that will certainly come down. Make no mistake. Where is Chris Shorter? Here he is, coming across, just about coming across the line out of the last corner. And there we go. Chris Shorter takes your race victory for round number 1. What a dominant drive, and that has certainly set the tone for this season, for his championship standings at the moment, taking maximum points. Pole win, and I believe he got the fastest lap as well. Yes, he did indeed. So fantastic stuff indeed. There goes Tim Haynes in P2. And then Paul Gerber taking the final podium spot for the Team Tryhard Racing Pro car in P3. Johan Grobler did try to get a little bit closer in those final couple of laps. He did get a bit closer to the back of Ryan Ottens, but no move came about. Battle, though, between, look at that, Koenig and Kraus. It has come down. It's 0.7 of a second. Not too much longer to go. But are we going to see any moves? It's now 0.6 of a second. Is this going to be a move? Is this going to be something that we're going to see in the final and the closing stages of this race? We're simply going to have to find out. At the moment, nothing as of yet. Again, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be something that there's going to have to be a possible send here if that is the case. Are we going to see it? It's going to be very, very close. 0.7 of a second is the gap. I don't think it's going to be enough. I somehow don't think it's going to be enough as they come through the last corner. No, it isn't. So the gap did come down another 1/10. But Stephen Koenig will take P14. And Arno Kraus will take P15. Yanaman Paris has got one, is the last person to come across the line. And in fact, there he is. And that is your entire field has now finished round number 1. What a fantastic race. Had some very, very exciting stuff. Very, very good racing. I'm really, really excited by that. That was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic indeed. And that is everything. That is round 1 done and dusted. I'm going to bring up the full racing results for you in a few moments' time. As we'll be able to see here. And in fact, here they come for you now. So, Chris Shorter did indeed take the win. 10 seconds, almost 10 seconds ahead of Tim Haynes in P2. Paul Gerber takes home P3, the final step on the podium with Ryan Ottens in P4. Johan Grobler takes P5 with Daniel Rowe in P6. Ati Nagel 7th, Simon Zerke in P8. Thymus Botha in 9th, and Yaz Samai rounding out the top 10. Jaco Stein takes P11, Du Gerber at P12 with Jeff Hancock's teammate in P13. Stephen Koenig P14, Arno Kraus in P15, Wynad Kersop 16th, Jason Gibson in 17th, Michael Prinsloo in P18. And they've got Yanaman Paris, not certainly the best race that he would have wanted, in P19, and then Tian Jacobs rounding out P20 for round number 1. You see the drivers now coming into the pit lane. And there we go. Round 1, all done and dusted. I wonder if we're going to be able to hopefully have a chat with... we're going to have a quick chat with the drivers, and hopefully we're going to have a chat with at least possibly the top 3. in a few moments' time. We're actually going to just going to break to a couple of, just have a quick short break. We'll be back in a few moments' time, so make sure you stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Basic human rights: water, electricity, healthcare, and education. But what if we don't have access to affordable infrastructure to support these basic rights? We are looking for a change, a better future for all. But without education and access to information, change can never happen. Welcome to IO Verified. We're not looking to just uplift and inspire our staff, but to empower and enrich the lives of communities, allowing small businesses to grow and build a future for themselves and enrich the lives of those around them. Join us today. Help us be the change and inspire the future.
Can you hear us?
Oh, I can do it. I believe I can hear.
Hello?
I believe I can hear everyone. Well, hello everyone. How are we doing?
Okay, guys, let's just go. Let's just go in the lobby and we'll do it from there. I'm sure we would be able to.
Oh, I think we're having a small bit of audio, issues. Bear us with us 2 moments. Can everyone hear me now? I think we'll be able to.
Cool.
I believe I can. I think people will be able to hear me now.
Alrighty, let's do it from here because I think it's a permissions issue on the Discord. I'll get that sorted out for the next race for you guys. But we have here in the channel, we've got Chris Shorter. I think he took P1, and we have Paul who took P3.
Fantastic stuff. Well, first we'll have a quick catch up with Chris. Chris, obviously from yourself, congratulations. Win by 10 seconds, I think it was at the end of that. So, talk us through that from your perspective. How was that for you? Because that was a very, very impressive drive.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. That was really fun, I must say. The new Porsche Cup car around this track is a lot of fun. It's really tight and technical, so it's easy to make mistakes. So pretty much just focused on getting a decent start and then just sort of controlling it from there. There was a stage in the race where I was sort of trying to put in a few hot laps and have a bit of fun, but yeah, that was it was good fun. And yeah, really happy to walk away with the win and also to be driving in the league.
Good stuff. And again, that's from our side, very exciting to watch. There was a little bit of downtime, obviously within the race, but then it started to pick up. It started to pick up again as it always does at the end of the race. Talk us through, from your perspective, because you pretty much, you said you took within about a second, about a second out of the first lap, and then you just sort of extended that lead as you go. How are you keeping yourself concentrating through that? I know you said you had a bit of time trial sort of in the middle of that, but just talk us through how that race sort of developed for you being at that front.
So probably not the most exciting thing to watch on the stream, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, on iRacing mainly focus on endurance racing, so the sprint racing does come a bit easier. Obviously there's sort of more pace involved in sprint racing, but then on the switch side, endurance racing these days has become like a 24 or 12 hour sprint, so you got to put your head down for an hour at a time and go for it. So yeah, I think that helped. Obviously, like I said earlier, the track is really easy to make a few mistakes, and a mistake here with the little bit of runoff that there is could be pretty costly in race ending. So yeah, just trying to avoid any big mistakes and getting into a groove.
Absolutely. Well, again, no, fantastic stuff. Really exciting to watch. And, hopefully, Chris, and congratulations on P1, and we'll see you again next in a couple of weeks' time.
Perfect. Thanks very much, and definitely see you guys then. Thanks for the great work on the stream and for the league as well. It is great fun.
Take care, Chris.
Cheers, you too.
And now moving on to P3, I believe we have Paul Gerber. Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. My voice has already started to go. I can already feel it just towards the end of that because again, I was getting quite overexcited. I think in some areas of that, but no, really good stuff. Congratulations on P3. How was that from you though? Like from your perspective, how did you find that? Because there was certainly a couple of areas where you were having a really good battle with the likes of Ryan Ottens, Johan Grobler as well. Just talk us through that race from your side.
Yeah, I think I started fourth on the grid, so the idea was just to get a clean start again. Cautious on lap 1 and 2. We know the tires are cold and the car's very tricky in that case. But I was behind Johan, chasing him down a bit. He seemed a bit faster in the beginning, opening lap, so I think I was just a bit overcautious on the cold tires. But eventually I started catching him a bit and putting on the pressure, and it seems he made a mistake into the hairpin or into the banking or turn 4, I think. I was then able to overtake. As we know, this track is very difficult to overtake, so I was just basically waiting for a mistake, and it seemed like it happened. Then after that, Ottens, I think, managed to pass Johan at some point during a lap car, I think, and he was chasing me down. So the whole race, I was just trying to keep a gap, and it was going a bit yo-yo, but eventually I think I managed to keep the gap.
Perfect stuff. Well, and again, as you say, it's even though that the 30 minutes, obviously, it's a pretty short race. At the same time, you still got to look after your car, look after the tyres, and it certainly benefited you towards the end there, which is really, really good. Moving forward to a couple of weeks' time, any sort of preparation changes you're going to want to do? Anything you're going to want to do slightly differently leading up to it, or is it going to be similar, very much the same?
I think it'll be similar. I think I'm quite new to iRacing and the Porsche Cup and the track, so to me it's going to be a bit exploring, how to drive the car on the different tracks. It is quite tricky and technical to drive it. It's a car coming from ACC. There's a lot of assists and stuff, but on iRacing with the Porsche Cup you don't really have. So you have to put in the time and practice and learn the track and car combination. So I think that's basically what I'm going to do. And then I tend to practice with the AI just to see different lines and to practice the racing aspect of it. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely, no, perfect stuff. Well, again, very much looking forward to seeing you next week, in a couple of weeks, Paul. Again, very well done on P3.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, and thanks for taking the time to do the commentary for us. I appreciate it very much. Thanks, man.
No problem at all. Thank you very much indeed. That is the evening today. Actually, quick chat if we can with a couple of the organisers. I'd just like to have a very, very quick chat indeed. One is we've got Du and Jeff. Can you both hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Brilliant. I think, gentlemen, we would have to address the elephant in the room, which was at the start, going down into turn 3. Let us just have a quick, let's not put too much light on it, but at the same time, it would be good to have a conversation. What happened there? Was it simply just a bit of outbreaking manoeuvre? Wasn't quite sure. Obviously, the field checked up quite aggressively there. Was it just something that took you a bit off guard? Jeff?
I want to say that that was really slow, but no, I just grabbed a bit too much brake into turn 3, and that was as we say that. So then obviously Doe and I were pretty close for the next 10 laps, but I was pretty determined not to pass him, no matter what happened, unless he binned it. So I felt very bad. So I thought I'm definitely gonna have to go sit in the Naughty corner for a little while after the race.
And do from yourself as well, obviously, ignoring the first incident, obviously, but going forward, the car looked like it had pace. You both looked like you had pace, and you both had a good car underneath you. There was a couple of sort of small little moments, but talk me through how the race, how the car developed for you over the course of the race.
Yeah, well, I think very similar to what Paul was saying earlier. early stages in the race, first 2 or 3 laps, you've really you've got to be on your toes with this car. It's on cold tires. It's quite tricky and a handful to keep on the track, especially a track like Oulton that's quite bumpy, etc. But yeah, once you hit lap 3, 4, you get into the zone, you settle down, the car's nice and warm, everything's working like it's supposed to, and then it's the fun start. That's when you can start looking for those gaps. And between myself and Jaco Stein, we had a ding-dong battle going pretty much through the last third of the race, where we were swapping positions almost every couple of laps. So yeah, for me it was great fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, that's what I think makes Porsche Cup races so exciting. It's the same car for everybody. Every driver's got the same car, same machinery. So it really just comes down to driving skill and racecraft at the end of the day. So that's my take on single make series racing. Yeah.
And I certainly share. I think we all share that same view as well. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's really good to see, as you say, same machinery, different aspects and different approaches to driving it. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for speaking with me and for hosting and organising this lead. It's been very, very good fun as round 1. I'm very much looking forward to round 2 in a couple of weeks' time, which I'm sure will be even bigger and even better.
We hope to have the league grow even and go from strength to strength. And yeah, Daniel, thank you very much for the professional job you guys did. We do appreciate it.
No problem at all. Happy to help. Happy to help. Well, that is it, everyone. We are going to have to wrap up, unfortunately, but we will be back in a couple of weeks' time for round number 2 of the Refined Racing League Porsche Cup Challenge. Please make sure you do not miss anything. If you haven't already, please make sure you do subscribe to the Tribe Nerds YouTube channel so you can keep up to date on those leagues happening there, and you can keep up to date with all of the rounds. It's going to be an exciting series, and hopefully we're going to get more and more drivers every single round. So please make sure you do not miss it. But that is it for this time. In a couple of weeks' time, round 2 takes place. But until then, everyone, as always, make sure you take care and stay safe.